Jack Crowley makes his first start in the Six Nations this Friday night. Last week, I went down to Cork to meet some of the people that made him, and here's what I learned. The first thing is that Crowley used to be a scrum half when he was in and out of Munster squads in his teenage years. Here's one of his former coaches, Mark Butler.
He's playing in a completely different position at scrum half. He's a little bit smaller than he is now. Jack missed out on selection for that particular squad that year as a Munster under-18 schools player. I remember the conversation with Jack. Jack, was very positive around the conversation, and it just kept coming back to what do I need to do to get back into the system, basically. And then if you fast forward 12 months, he had gotten a bit of a growth spurt, and I suppose combined that with his incredible work ethic and drive. Jack did come back in as an under-19 player, as I said, through his performances with Bandon.
There's always a GAA angle to these stories. Jack's aunt is Elaine Burke, who won 3 All-Ireland Camogie medals for Cork. And she told me here how her sister, who's Jack's mother, would have played a big part in getting Camogie up and running in Sheahan.
So when my eldest sister Maria, there wasn't a Camogie club when she was growing up, right. But she actually was and it would be Jack's mum. She was a primary school teacher when I was in primary school, and she was our coach for our first Skeena Scull win as a girls team. She wouldn't have grown up playing camogie herself, hurling, but to get numbers at training, you'd get an ice pop. It used to be back when there were the 10p ice pops. So someone would be sent across the road after the training and get 25 ice pops, and it's the best £2.50 I think she ever spent. What I would say is, because she hadn't played it growing up, she really applied herself to learning how do I coach these girls to hook, to block, these skills that sometimes people forget about, the fundamentals. And I certainly remember there were these huge manuals and binders at home that she would literally be reading through how you do that, because she hadn't played it growing up. Right. So it's very different.
Jack Crowley played senior club rugby for a season with Cork Constitution. Here's Brian Hickey of Cork Con explaining how Jack managed to get into the 10 shirt for the club.
Aidan Moynihan was the incumbent out half at the time, but before he played his first AIL game for us, and he started full back in that game, but about 30 minutes into the game, Aidan unfortunately broke his leg, so Jack ended up going in out half. Jack really had a super season that year, and then in February, March, he went away and played in the Six Nations, scoring that fantastic try against Scotland.
Brian Hickey also informed me here how Jack Crowley would probably be a pretty good contestant on The Apprentice.
I thought one of the interesting things I learned in that conversation when I went down to their house in Sheahan was that he actually negotiated the gear for Bandon School that year with one of the gear suppliers. So even though he was in the team, from a rugby point of view, his mum pointed out to me that he was a little bit of an entrepreneur as well, and I think that's probably, you see that in O'Gara, you see it in Sexton, you saw it in David Humphreys. I think in the out half position they have to a lot of other positions on the pitch too, but the out half I think has to have a global view of the game.
And the last thing I hadn't realised was that a Bouclier winning coach helped take Jack Crowley and develop him at Bandon Club and Bandon Grammar School. Reggie's son helped Toulouse win the top 14 title as a forwards coach, but that wasn't before he helped this West Cork man reach his potential. Did you know that he was going to become a test player at that stage?
Never. Sincerely, never. He was a very good player. He was one of the best players of the team, but not the only one. Jack grew because he we train with other players. All the steps he go and he achieve it.
Will you be shouting for him against France?
France in my country, but I have a special eyes for him. Special part of my heart for him. Perhaps you could say France win and Jack man of the match.
There you go, deal.